need some help.
Okay. 7:04. I call to order the meeting of the Middlebury Development Review Board for June 12th, 2017. First thing I'm going to do is briefly go over the agenda, business agenda. The first is an application by Chuck Steady for a conditional use review of a contractor's storage yard and setback waiver. This property is located on the corner of Quarry Road and Route 116 in the AR zone. The second application is by Mr. Tony Neary for a conditional use review of a proposed miniature golf facility to be located behind the existing A&W restaurant. This application was reviewed as a sketch plan on January 25th, 2015. The property is located at 1557 Route 7 South in the PH District. And the third business agenda is an application by Dustin Simmons for a conditional use review to operate a restaurant. This property is located at 1 Washington Street in the VRC zoning district. Okay, if anybody intends to testify or ask questions, make sure that you sign in on the sign-in sheet over there. The next item would be the approval of the minutes of 5.
Public communication.
Oh, yes.
Not how I wanted that.
Any items not on the agenda that the public has a concern about or question? Hearing none. Approval of the minutes of 5/22/2017.
So moved.
Been moved and seconded. Any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I don't have any drives.
Okay.
One abstention.
Okay.
Two abstentions.
Okay. The next, before we get into the business agenda, I'm going to propose a procedure change for the board and for your comments. To make the meetings go a little bit more smoothly, I'm thinking about if we have the applicants come up, they give their testimony, we ask questions, and then we recess that application while we go into executive session. And we're going to hear, my proposal is that we hear all the cases first, and then we will go into executive sessions to discuss them.
Do you mean deliberative session?
Deliberative session. And then once we discuss all 3 cases, we come out of deliberative session. If there are other questions from the applicants that we feel we need to ask, we can do so, and then we can vote. What are your thoughts on that proposal?
So we hear them all before we deliberate.
Yes. We can ask questions, but before we deliberate as a board, we would hear them all.
I'm just afraid they may confuse them if they're, that's the only thing I have.
My only concern is that some applications seem to be so clear that it would be unfortunate to have those people sitting around while we perhaps have lengthy deliberations about applications that are less straightforward.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I think it's an excellent idea. It just will take more of people's time who have their applications completely in order and with which we have few issues, if any.
I would agree with Ann.
Okay.
I think there's things that while the applicant is here, we think of other things to ask him or her. I'm not sure that coming back in an hour is going to spark those interests that I would have had at the time. I just
Perhaps.
So the DRB would ask their questions. In a scenario, the DRB would ask their questions, and I would ask my question. But just before you're about ready to do that motion, we break away, and then we have any sort of discussion about all the evidence that we've collected in deliberative session, or you do. And then you'll be able to decide how to vote, so that you're not deciding how to vote on the fly in open session.
Perhaps we could consider after each application whether we felt there was the slightest purpose to a deliberative session. Because sometimes...
Maybe we could just try this for now and then try that more complicated route the next meeting.
I'm more in tune with Ann. I think that we go forward as we've been going, and if we need to go into a deliberative session due to whatever testimony's in front of us, we do so.
And perhaps be more willing to do it earlier in the discussion process that we sometimes get into during the public portion of the meeting.
And we talk about always trying to be transparent. I think this is more transparent dealing with it. And then the applicant knows where he's going from here.
Okay, all right.
That's just my 2 cents.
My concern is same as Ann. We have applicants, and one of the applicants may be here for 10 or 15 minutes in some
Okay.
cases, and then they'd have to wait. So concern for them, for me, is not a problem. I don't.
Okay,
But
all right, so I guess it's the consensus that we'll proceed as we normally have been doing.
With perhaps a little more attention to going sooner to deliberative session, either after the next or the final hearing or not, depending on how involved we seem to be getting in things.
Okay,
And just different things trigger deliberative session. I mean, I don't want to think that every case we should have to go into deliberative session.
right, okay.
I'm worried that we may go into deliberative session and then get stuck on one case for too long,
Right.
and then lose sight of maybe the others that are
Okay.
there.
All right, okay. Well, let's proceed as we normally do then. First item on the business agenda, an application by Chuck Steady for a conditional use review of a contractor's storage yard and setback waiver. This property is located at the corner of Quarry Road and Route 116, parcel 6.073 in the AR zoning district. Would you like to come forward? And for the applicant and all those interested in giving testimony, this is the oath. I affirm that the evidence and information I am giving in this proceeding is true and accurate to the best of my belief. Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
like probably a fair number of people in town, the applicant plows my driveway and neighborhood. I don't know if that doesn't seem to constitute a conflict to me, but if anybody would like me to stand down, I will.
No, I don't.
I know that is a conflict.
Okay.
You may not pull out after me.
I'll go over the staff packet. if
Okay,
it's
yes.
So
Okay, Victor? Yeah, go
we're just
ahead.
going to briefly go summarize the staff packet, maybe to make things a little easier. So Chuck Steady is going to buy a small lot, this on the corner of Quarry Road and K Street. The parcel number is 673. It's a very small lot, probably about a third of an acre. He wants to buy it so he can erect a structure to store his landscaping equipment and storage for that. The building's going to be approximately 42 by 34 feet. He's going to have to create a curb cut, a driveway, probably on Route 116. He's also going to need setback waivers because it's such a small lot that it doesn't quite meet in the normal AR district, the normal setback requirements, but there's, as you've probably read in the staff packet, it's a pre-existing small lot, so some of those dimensional requirements to erect a structure, develop the land are different, but he would still need a setback waiver. And he wants to put his building in the southwest, I believe, southwest corner of the lot,
Yes.
and and that's where he's getting the setback waivers from the west and the south. And other than that, I guess that's basically a summary. I don't know if then Chuck can add.
Well, that's basically what it is. It's pretty much going to be a parking lot. It's all going to be gravel. We're going to take down all the trees that are on this lot. And it's all a bunch of dead trees anyway. It's all kind of tipped into each other in buckthorn. And just level it out. Take the topsoil down so it's fresh ground to put gravel on. That way it's a nice firm base. And there's already a telephone pole on the property, which is on the Quarry Road side. And figure out where the power and stuff needs to go if we can put the slab 5 feet from them property lines. And then I was thinking it'd be nice, but if you could put the driveway coming in from the south side off of 116, meandering down through, and then a square parking area in front of the shop. On the Quarry Road side and the 116 side, I was thinking if you planted arborvitaes there, like cedar trees. I don't know how many I got here, but whatever size they, just so it makes kind of a wall from the road, kind of blocks things off, and I guess maybe protects us from traffic coming off the road in slippery conditions maybe. And on the Forbes side, the west and the south, plant like 6 or 8 apple trees on the edge of the property line, which was kind of what that land was apple trees, so I figured it would be nice to have some apple trees around that backside. We don't need any sewer or water. There won't be any drains in the building. It's a steel structure that's galvanized metal, like you see on farms. It's a half-moon structure. And my idea was to have it sitting on like a 2 or 3 foot concrete wall. So it just brings it up just a little bit, so we have a nice spot to put things against the wall, because the curve of the building will block the space to put something closer to the wall, so we're utilizing all our space. And I guess, besides the culvert going through the driveway, the land naturally drains. It's uphill from the field. But if we had to, we could definitely run like perforated pipe or any kind of drainage pipe around the edges of where the ditch comes from Quarry Road on the corner, or where the water would filter off the 116 side of the building, because it'd curve down and come down to the ground there. So if it drained into some stone and perforated pipe and stubbed out the back, it would all filter away. So, other than that, I don't know what else to say.
Okay, thank you. Any questions at this time from the board?
My first question is you're entering a state road. Are you required to get a curb cut from AOT?
Yes. Yep.
Do you have that yet?
I don't have that yet, but I just got the guy's name today from DeBishop. I see him on a job site, and he said he gave me the guy's card, so I got to contact this fella.
So, I know that you're requiring a curb cut and the state needs to issue it. Aren't you a little premature asking for a...
I just didn't know. This is the first time I've had to do this, so I had no idea. I figured, my reasoning was that it was access to the land originally, and there was a barn right where the driveway's going to come in. So I just, I figured that maybe it was kind of claused in there, but,
Well, you know how the state operates.
yeah,
So, did you plan on doing it this summer?
yes.
What was the access? How was the lot accessed now?
There's too many trees on it to access the lot. It's
So just is.
It's all brush. There's no,
Right.
you can pull
So there was
off-
never a driveway on this property?
There
where we-
was, right, if you look at the picture, where I've got the driveway coming in, the barn sat right next to that. If you look at
The north side of the driveway?
Actually, it shows it right on this, the legend of, or the,
Didn't
the
it,
map.
didn't it originally come off of Quarry Road, originally?
I'm not positive, but what Carol said, that it came on the left and the right of the barn and in front. They would drive off of 116 into the barn. But they would drive off the right side of the barn, if you're looking at it, to park. She said that they used to back up to the building and put boxes underneath. Well, she said they drove all around on that, and that's how they went in there, was off of 116. That's what she had told me anyway, but
Do you know how long that lot has been that size?
I don't.
I think Wink Forbes probably bought the northern part of that lot and separated it there.
It seems like, looking at it, it's a patch of trees and the lot is inside of it. So, I heard in the past from Winston Forbes, that he thought he owned part of that land, but then Pat thought that she owned part of the land. Wink gave up rights or something happened, and eventually Pat ended up with it. Now Mike owns that outside part. So, I'm not totally positive, but I do know, I've talked to Mike and Winston about it, and I know both them guys, so they were all like, great, you know, that'd be awesome to have somebody, what better neighbors to have is Mike and Winston.
So you've purchased this already, or you?
I have not,
Okay.
so I need to,
Is there a survey of it, of this lot?
yep, there was just, this is the most recent, I think this is the most recent survey. Well, she just had it surveyed, like a couple months ago. It's all fresh. So,
Any questions from the board at this time?
The reason I asked about the age of the lot is because of the wording of section 701, and I wasn't really sure what that's supposed to mean. It's on page 103 if you want to take a look.
as far as I know, this has been there. I don't know why it was split up so funny like that, because they own the other side of the road and the apple trees on the other side of Quarry Road. There's just that one little corner piece. I don't understand why it's shaped like that, but, you know, you look at
Just
any
a barn
piece of
there.
land, yeah, I mean, it was his barn.
Probably stored Apple equipment in it.
Yeah, but I do know years and years ago, knowing a little bit of the history there, you know, the Forbeses have owned land around all that for years and years. So, somebody, you know how things used to work years ago, you know, Uncle so-and-so traded this to his nephew for this chunk of land, and, you know, who knows how it ended up like that, but it's usually the way things go
And
back in the day.
the 701 section is pre-existing small lots. Is there a particular section of that hand that your concern falls under?
Well, I don't understand how long is meant by pre-existing. I don't know if it means it's already there when the applicant presents the question, or if it means it had to have been there by March 5th, 1968, or if it means it had to have been there by whatever date this particular section was adopted.
Can I insert an editorial comment here?
Sure.
So my comment is,
And even if it's relevant.
sure. So I tried to talk to Kevin before this hearing to say maybe we should try deliberative session this go around to see how it feels different from the hearings we've had before. And so you asked the applicant, does he know if it predated zoning? He didn't know. I also don't know if it predates zoning. So at this point, the conversation that you're having about the regulations, what do they mean? I don't know what they mean, blah, 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 blah. That's a conversation that in every other town I've worked in would occur in deliberative session. And the reason you do it is because when an applicant, and you're cool, so I'm gonna say it in front of you, when an applicant sees the board all squabbling over what the regulations mean and we're not really sure, it kind of discredits the board a little bit and it makes us look like maybe we don't really know what's going on. So that's why deliberative session is often used so that the applicant doesn't see the sausage being made, you know? So you ask all the questions you have to ask, and when you know that you've completely depleted all the testimony, then you go kind of have these conversations, which are so important, but often look messy to the public in deliberative session, so that you can get it all worked out amongst yourselves and then come back out. But I know Chuck doesn't judge us, so I'm just saying that as an example.
Do you have, does the person who wants to sell this land to you, are they waiting till you sort this out one way or the other, or do they have a deadline?
They're waiting for me.
Yeah.
And she's in no hurry. She, like I told, I was telling somebody earlier that I posted this on Front Porch Forum to try to find like an acre of land or half acre or between Middlebury and Salisbury. And she was the first one that responded. And affordable as it is, that's what I looked at. I mean, I just need a place to put this stuff, and it seems like the cost-wise, it would be wise on being a business owner
Sure.
on my part to invest in something that was affordable like that.
Sure.
Because I've looked at other lots that are like 2 acres or whatever, and it's like 60 grand. What? You know, it's like, I don't, why? I wouldn't pay that for something. And if I didn't have to, anyway. So,
I'll bet all he's gotta do is ask either these Carol Wood, Virginia Welch, or Janice Ethier. I'll bet they're all Woods. Any of them could probably tell you how long that it's been, has been, and I bet it's pre-68, but wouldn't bet my life on it, but Woods have been around a long time.
Okay. Any other questions at this time?
I think he's spinning his wheels with us until the state gives him a curb cut.
I agree.
And that's clearly, if he gets his curb cut, then he should be talking to Jen and then maybe come back before the board, but he's just wishing right now. And
oh, I mean,
yeah,
I just need to
understand.
know, you know, that, I just need to know either way. That's my thing. With this, I've got the summer to figure it out.
I've got,
And, you know, any kind of opportunity anywhere, I'm willing to try to make something work from between here and
I hear you.
Salisbury and
I hear you,
Middlebury.
but I just-
But I can call this fella tomorrow, even after I get out of here, I might be able to give him a call and try to
I
arrange.
don't think it works quite that quickly,
Well, at
but
least I can
think
get
you
in
need to talk
touch.
to somebody.
Yeah.
Point of order,
Let's get-
procedurally
yes.
speaking. So procedurally, this board does review sketch plan applications.
Right.
It's not always a complete application. So in this case, it's kind of like a sketch plan. And the reason you do sketch plan is because it might involve time and expense for him to do an application with V-Trans. And he'd probably, it's my
Which
understanding that
doesn't
you'd like
cost
to know
anything, really.
where the board sits in terms of it being approvable from your perspective before he goes that route. So,
And I really was not sure about that. I guess that was one thing that somebody brought to my attention. Asked me that about a week ago, and I said, boy, I don't know. I mean, talking to a couple, like the road foreman up in Goshen, and he said, if you got a driveway that is there on a piece of land, you can't move the driveway unless you get the proper permits, and you want to have a really good reason why you want to put it in another spot.
I've been personally
So that-
involved in some of that, so.
I was like, I never would thought that. So, it's all kind of
Can we-
new thing to me.
Can we give him a sketch plan approval then, so he,
Preliminary
approval, so
for the
he
sketch plan.
thinks that we're at least in favor of what he wants to do? Or,
Well,
But,
it depends on how long the land has been owned by this
right,
Wood family.
How long the small lot has been in existence, right? How long since the creation of the lot? Is that?
I think does the rule say that?
that's one of the things we need to determine. But if we gave conceptual approval, I wouldn't want the gentleman to go buy the land. I mean, I think we probably like his building. We probably would support the curb cut. We can talk about the light fixture. I'm not sure that we have any objections. The only question in my mind is whether we can actually do it because of whatever this section requires.
Right.
What are the rules on an existing roadway into some place? That's my question.
it's a lawyer question,
Oh,
Or a state regulator question.
Right.
Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
the answer you get from us is not going to be what governs.
Not easy. You're going to get a real education here.
thanks.
Wow.
And I think, to Don's point, I think it is safe to say that, if you get past the state on that entrance next to that intersection, you're probably gonna be well clear of our requirements on this. They'll be more stringent.
Do you
Is-
think that they're gonna
Question.
object about that area
I don't.
there coming down?
I
that
don't
hill?
think so, I just don't know.
Yeah.
And
Are there going to be any materials or equipment stored outside of this building?
A couple trailers and a couple trucks.
By trailer, what do you mean? You mean something to pull
landscape.
behind a pickup?
Yes. Like a 16 or 18-foot trailer. One is a dump that dumps stuff. The other one's just to haul mowers.
And is that year-round or just during the summer season?
Basically, in the winter, we can move anything to my home, and because in the summer we need it every day. Sometimes we can even put it into the building. If I'm sure there's going to be a space in there for that. But nothing has to really stay outside. There definitely would be a truck that there'd probably be a truck or two that would stay outside all the time there.
Is this, is the owners of either the west or the south, either one of those, is that all one owner, the west and the south?
Yes, it's Mike Forbes.
Okay, and does he own this property?
No.
Okay, so I think there is a law, I could be wrong, I'm not a lawyer. I think you cannot have a landlocked piece of land in Vermont, that you are entitled to an access to it. So you can have an access to it, whether the state would allow at that particular point where you want it, or somewhere else. You are entitled to an access, I believe, from somewhere,
Yep.
either across somebody else's land or a road, so.
I think I just need to call that fella tomorrow and discuss it and try to get the ball rolling on what I have to do for the state.
The other thing I'd have you consider, just as a kindness to you, is think about the size of arbor vitae, or if there's something else you might want to plant, because I live on Quarry Road and I planted 5 or 6 of these things about this tall, and the one winter when there was a lot of snow cover, the deer ate every last bit and they did not
Yeah,
recover.
they do.
So if you buy smallish ones, you might want to consider protecting them with
Yeah.
fencing in the winter.
Something of that sort seemed like it'd be a good idea. It doesn't need to be completely blocked, I wouldn't think. It's something that just kind of was around that area. It seemed, in my mind.
So you're not
just-
trying to create a screen off, you don't want to screen the building, or
Not
do you?
necessarily, but, you know, kind of along the lines of a natural fence, I guess, you know.
Yeah.
And like I was saying with the traffic, I don't know how many cars go off that corner, but if they did, they'd come screaming right at the stuff that was in our parking lot or our building. And if there were some trees there, maybe they had something that would stop them before they got that far.
At this time, are there any comments from the public? Questions or comments? Hearing none. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
Do we need to determine the setback waiver?
So we need a survey.
Address that.
This is a sketch approval, right?
Okay, are you gonna have any outside storage of materials or equipment?
Just
Yes, a couple trailers and a couple trucks. Nothing else really that would be outside. It would be all in the building.
Okay,
You're not gonna have like a storage pod or
No.
a trailer you might park in there and then put things in it or whatever?
Not that we would just, that would we use for like work every day in the summer, you know.
Yeah, just
Wouldn't be anything
to
that
move
would stay
equipment
there.
around or product around. Your dump trailer might be mulch or gravel or something
Well,
like that, is that?
If the trailer comes there with mulch in it, it would probably stay in it.
Yeah.
Because
okay.
we buy from Moodoo and
Yeah.
we go there and get material as we need it. And
Yeah.
we usually, most of the places we do now, we know exactly what we're putting down.
Right,
So
okay,
we've
so-
done them for so long, it just.
So Chuck, having been out there and looked at that, the majority of those trees that's gonna shelter or restrict the seeing your property is all on state land. If you figure the right of way, right? So,
The pins are down in the ditch there, right?
oh no, that's probably, Mr. Chairman, I think the applicant needs to talk with someone from the state about the curb cut, the rights of way, and where the actual, and where he can build from the state road. I really think we're getting into trying to what if, and I don't want to do that for you.
Well, no, I would definitely like to know, that's for sure.
That's something
but-
that you need to check with the state on. You really do.
Yep. But as far as what I talked with Carol with the new survey that was just done,
Yeah.
and it was 4 bars from the state highway. It's all brand new marking out there, but I just went on whatever was the brand new marking there, and her map of the new map that I just went on that.
The state engineer is gonna come to you when you ask for a curb cut. He's
Yeah.
gonna tell you where the rights of way starts and ends
Yep,
from the state property.
right.
I went and looked at that, and if I look at all the trees that are currently there, if you left those within the right of way, you're not gonna see your building. But you need to take a lot of those trees down to build your building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the front, right,
Right.
next to the road.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me understand, I'm hearing you correctly. So the trees that he is hoping to cut down may be in the state's right of
They
way?
might be within the right of way, that's correct. There's also
Okay,
Central Vermont rights of way, and there's also Green Mountain Power rights of way with a power line.
yeah.
So before you start cutting trees in rights of ways, you have to know where those rights of ways are.
Yeah. Okay.
okay.
There's people up in Ferrisburg.
Yes, there's people in Ferrisburg, I know all about those.
I have a question for Jen.
Go ahead.
Is there still a question about this being a small lot that we have to confirm before we do anything.
Yep. And so if we were in Jericho or Williston or South Burlington right now, just, at this point, if the board is winded down on questions, what we would say is, all right, thank you for your application. We're going to go into deliberative session after we hear the next 2 applications. You can stick around till the end of the night, or you can call staff the next morning and they'll give you your answer on what we decided. And that's how that would work. And I know that they're not the same as this town, but it does make for a little cleaner process. I'm just throwing it out there. That's what could happen right now.
Mr. Steady, I'm going to make a motion that we go into deliberative session after we hear the other 2 applicants. So, do I have a second to that motion?
Second.
Okay.
Discussion on the motion?
You second it, yeah.
Thought we just decided this.
Well, I think in this case, this needs some deliberative
I agree.
session.
And I understand, I take Jen's comment as a positive, and I think in this case.
Okay. My comment, before we vote, I think we have 4 ways of doing this. We can reject or deny the application. We can approve it pending a satisfactory curb cut from the state and a detailed location of out storage and setback waivers.
A survey.
Or we can decide to go into deliberative session, like the motion says, or the applicant can withdraw the application now until he has more information.
Okay, that's another option that he has.
So those are the 4 options that I see right now. The question on the table.
We have a motion on the floor.
We have a motion and a second. So, so are there any other, that's my comment on the
Any more discussion?
Any more discussion on the motion?
I think we have to determine how long the lot's been in existence.
All right.
That could be a simple question to the Wood family.
Now, what does that matter? How long the lot's been?
Well, we got a substandard lot because it's too small for our current zoning.
Yep.
So, but if it's been in existence for a certain amount of time, then we can.
You have pre-existing rights, in other words.
Pre-existing, right.
But you have to prove that it was a small lot prior to certain dates. Okay. Any other questions on the motion? The motion is to go into deliberative session after we hear the other 2 hearings.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I think I'm going to take back my second on that motion, deliberative session.
Okay?
Sorry.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any other comments on the motion?
Oh, somebody say?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
And second.
And second. Any other comments? So all in favor of the motion to go into deliberative session, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
All right.
2 opposed?
Three.
3.
3 opposed.
Who can vote and who can't vote?
Oh, yeah, am
Gary
I?
can't vote. There's, Gary can't vote.
Gary
Oh,
can't vote.
sorry.
Okay, so
You
again,
need to stop.
so I can be clear, those in favor of the motion, raise your hand. Opposed? Okay, the motion is carried. So we'll be going into deliberative session following the 2 other cases we hear tonight. And we will get the information back to you.
You're welcome to wait around too, by the way. You don't have to leave.
Yeah, all right. No, that sounds good to me.
Or you
Thank
can
you.
phone tomorrow and Jen will explain everything.
Yeah, just call us up tomorrow. I mean, not that you don't have anything else to do on a nice day, but.
Does it matter at all?
No.
No.
Also, I can just
The
call
only
them.
thing is, are we allowed, if we come back in, are we allowed to ask them additional questions again?
Well, we can do that anyway because this would be a preliminary approval if we
Okay.
get that far.
Okay.
Well, I'll stick around for a little bit, and if I decide I'm gonna go home, I will. Thank you for
education.
Yeah, thank you for letting me explain this.
Next item on the business agenda, an application by Mr. Tony Neary for conditional use review. Proposed miniature golf facility to be located behind the existing A&W restaurant. This application was reviewed as a sketch plan on 1/25/15. The property is located at 1557 Route 7 South in the PhD zoning district. Mr. Neary? Good, I will give you an oath for anybody, for you and for anybody that wants to give testimony. I affirm that the evidence and information I am given in this proceeding is true and accurate to the best of my knowledge and belief. Okay. Ken?
You said it's a miniature golf.
Ken, did you want to go over the staff memo first?
Yeah, I should. So, okay, so this is an application that we heard, well, actually, this is an application that the DRB heard a good while ago, before I was here, in 2012. And in 2012, there was an approval of this application, but the approval lapsed because the final plans weren't filed within the time period. There were just never engineered final plans at that time. It was just the hand-drawn map, which I can get up there. It was just a hand-drawn map. And so then we heard it preliminarily in January 2016. And at that time, the comments were really around the access. You were worried about the safety of the access to the lot down behind the A&W. And since then, the applicant has made some modifications to the parking lot to allow that access, which you could explain better than I. And he's back for final approval of the same application. And so we have engineered plans now at this time, that's shown on the screen. Other than that, everything else about the original application from 2012 is the same, with the exception of this access road that's been taken out. There's no longer access to Foot Street. And so, you know, since we're already talking about V-Trans and work in the right-of-way permits, there will be a work in the right-of-way. He will want to talk to V-Trans about the work in the right-of-way permit on this, but I confirmed with V-Trans this morning that that's a separate process from our process, and we can go ahead with our approval or whatever tonight, and then he can handle that process separately with them.
Let me address it, that corner, the south part of that parking lot.
Yeah.
Explain what we did.
Right, so these spots used to be over here, right?
Yeah, they were up, actually, it's down even further than what it is right there on the map, but yeah, they were up higher in the parking lot. So when you turned in from Route 7 South, there was a problem that the curb cut was all right. It was just the parking that was done years ago. Nobody figured that they'd ever have to move it. But in fact, it turned out to be a lot better. We moved it down into the picnic area, quite a few feet, 12 or 14 feet, which made a big difference in the entrance. And these are actually accurate, so it just doesn't look that way. The entrance to the back of it is a lot easier to get to now because of that south. Now, let me get up there. I can't get that. I gotta do this. Do you mind?
Yeah, but Kathy's gonna want you to stand way on that side.
Okay.
Right, Kathy? Yep. Thank you.
This spot right here, right where the curb cut is, was up in here. And I remember Don said, Tony, that's a problem. It always has been. And I never even looked at it. And then we got into it, and I had it engineered, and I had Bluth come in and move it down, and Gary paved it. It turns out that it's really made a big difference in the entrance and exit of that side of the property. Probably should have done it years ago. And I probably needed more money then than I had to be able to do it now. But anyway, it's really worked pretty well. So, that was really the problem, I think. The state didn't have a problem with the entrance or the exit. They haven't really changed. It's out back. I don't know if I'm gonna have a problem with you guys as far as the parking or the trees, which I already planted. I remember when Natalie Peters made me put in 25 trees a few years ago, like 2012, I think it was. I don't know, is that in your?
Yep, 2012. Yep.
Yeah, put in all those trees on this side where the building is, so it would be on the south side of the picture, but it's really, it's the south side of the property also.
Tony, are you going to be doing any work in the right-of-way now?
Where? In the front part?
Route 7 right-of-way?
No, not at all.
So is there any permit required at this point?
No, I
It may or
wouldn't.
may not be, but like I say, it's a separate process from ours, so we don't need
I'm not
to.
going to do any work in the right of way at all. All I need is access from which we have already with a parking lot.
But I'm confused. So that process is determined by your office or by Tony? Who decides?
That process is determined by V-Trans in the state. And I'm saying you can feel free to stay off that topic altogether, because when I talked to the state, they said they'll handle it with Tony. You know, if he needs to go in the right of way to hook up to water and sewer, if he needs to amend his permit because he's got more traffic now.
So that's between Vermont Trans and Tony?
Completely, yep. I confirmed it with them.
So, I see what you mean. If I have to go, in other words, for the water and sewer hookup, which is actually south of that picnic area, where the town wouldn't allow me to hook into the A&W for water or to the A&W for the sewer, because they prefer you to have an individual hookup for a couple of reasons. One is really money. The other is so that if you sell the property or subdivide it, somebody else will have it.
Okay.
So you're not, the water and sewer will not be attached to the NW building?
The sewer, no, you'll go in that manhole below. What the hell is this?
Is it on the south side?
Yeah, be on the south side of the building, which would be, the sewer presently goes this way. And you see where the
Yeah.
manhole is.
Okay.
And then we'd be coming off the
Water.
other side.
Yeah, okay. I have a question about,
Yeah, go ahead.
I noticed that you pushed that south,
Yeah.
those parking spaces towards the picnic area. Now, if you had a car parked at the, or say the parking spaces closest to the building and were full, and the ones on the south, do you know approximate distance between the, say, the back of the cars at the building and the front of the cars on those south parking?
On that, going towards where the miniature golf would be, you mean?
Yes.
See that? You can see that parking space?
Mm-hmm.
What we did, we moved it in with the rest of them and brought it way in. So you can see the turnoff is here. This is the one you're talking about. See, it's probably 12, 15 feet. This is a lot- this-
No, he's talking about the difference between the cars parked up against the A&W
Yes.
and
And
the spaces to the south.
Maybe it's right on
Quite a
there.
difference.
Huh?
Oh, see, it's a lot bigger than before. I don't, we never
no,
measured
no,
it.
2 inches
It's a
above,
big difference than what it was, because we moved all the units.
right, I noticed that, and I noticed there's
22
a
feet.
much wider area there for
Yeah.
vehicles to go in and come out. I'm just wondering if, if you had a full house there, what the total distance would be between the vehicles. And
According to the map here, Rick, it's 22 feet from the back of one car to the front of the other, if you look up there.
No, he's talking about,
Way more.
This distance where you drive in.
Yeah, I'm thinking,
he's talking about the distance here.
Right. It's still about 20.
22?
about 22 feet then,
yeah.
okay. Just,
If you look at the scale, I don't have a ruler here,
Yeah.
but maybe a little more.
Oh, I see what you've done. Okay, you've scaled it out by this.
Yes, by
Okay.
using this 22 feet
Well, it
here.
looks like it'd be more than that, though.
Well, I do, but I don't have a ruler.
Yeah, okay.
It's 50 feet minus whatever distance the car's bumpers are from A&W.
It's what?
It's 50, it would be 50 feet, and then you would subtract from that however far the bumpers
16.
are from A&W.
No, like 4 feet between the building and the front
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
those,
Yeah.
yeah, maybe 4 or 5,
But-
6 feet maybe. Yeah.
So 25 feet roughly.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
At least.
So what I'm getting at, Ken, if you've got a car going into the mini golf and a car coming out, and you have cars parked on either side, is there going to be enough room in there for easy egress and access, I guess?
Well, we think there is.
Yeah.
It would be like driving through Shaw's parking lot.
Oh, God, no.
Well, I mean, you got cars coming and going.
I think I got a little more room than that, I
Yeah.
hope, jeez.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, 24 is generous, two-way,
Yes.
parked on both sides, 90 degrees. 22 is acceptable. It's not crazy tight.
Right.
It's not European or anything. I mean, it seems to me that the clearance, that dimension is not at all the unusual part. The unusual part is that the drive line jogs as you go into that part. That's the hard part.
Plenty of room in February.
Okay, other questions?
I have a question. I remember this hearing, and I'm looking at the minutes. Did we discuss whether the building needs to go to ARB?
DAC?
DAV.
DC.
DAC, excuse me.
They did review it in 2012.
They did,
Yeah, it did.
with the idea of probably the elevations were the elevations drawn at that time? I mean, they're pretty simple.
Yeah, the same ones,
Okay.
but the color has yet to be determined.
I see.
Yeah, we changed that from the normal yellow to the dark green,
Dark green?
yeah.
So
And
the
it's
first
also-
time around, Tony,
It's gonna have a,
there was more emphasis on the building than the miniature golf course, correct? You were more interested in
right,
how you want to do,
I'm gonna try to do both.
right. Yeah.
But the building could be a key for the future of the A&W because it's going to be built like a horse barn where there's wings on both sides, so it looks like a horse barn. And under the wings, which are 10 feet long, we would put picnic tables. And to the north side of the building would be a couple of very large 12 by 12 doors that could be opened up and screened so people could sit inside or out. It's just getting the food down to them. That could basically be a problem, but we'll work on it. We'll see if that's even gonna work, you know? But the building is a key to this whole setup.
I have questions about your plans for exterior lighting, both for the miniature golf course and for the proposed building, even though you're not sure at this time what the uses of the proposed building will be, or presumably, since you don't know the uses, you don't know what hours you might want it to
Well,
be.
the thing with the lighting is gonna be determined on a daily basis business, which is the miniature golf is not gonna be open later than the A&W is, so I don't need any lighting now. If I determine that I'm going to do it differently, you know, I would come back and ask whether I can or not. But right now, the only lighting I would have would be the lighting for the parking lot, and then the lighting for the entrance and exits of the building. I can't see.
Time's the A&W currently closed now.
8 o'clock.
So there'd be no lighting on the golf part of it at all?
No. It could change. I mean, if I see this, it's to a point, right now, miniature golf is not one of the best businesses to go into, okay? But I've been dickering with this for years, and I'm trying to figure out if it's even worth doing the miniature golf. And that's, I'm at that point where I think I can get it done right and pull it off. A franchise for a miniature golf course is anywhere from $300,000 to $750,000. And in Middlebury, Vermont, with the demographics in Addison County, I'd be lucky if I do 8 or 10 or 12 or 15 or 20,000 a year, and you'd never even pay for the beginning of a franchise. And that's where I'm at. And I think I have the right man, and I have the right quarry behind me to build this miniature golf with that product by bringing it over and laying the base down. And that, what I understand, is the toughest thing about a miniature golf is what it sits on and how you do the runs. Do you do whatever, concrete? No, it's too costly. You've got to do it a number of different ways. But we'll see. I mean, if you give me the permit to go ahead and do it, if I can't do it, I'll come back and say I can't do it. I'd like to put in a, I don't know, what else would go
Tennis
there?
court.
I don't know.
So what?
Tennis court.
Oh, God. Can you see me owning a tennis court? Swimming pool, maybe. Compete with the town. No, I think the miniature golf, if I go easy at 9 hole to start with and then go to an 18 and then come back and say, oh, you know, we decided we're going to do waterfalls and we're going to do lighting, that would be a whole nother world. I'll be dead and gone if my kids ever decide to do that. And knowing my kids, they'd probably want to do that. But the building is really the survival for this area for a number of different reasons. And I've got to go to the state for the access, or for the health department, for what I want to do in the front of that building, which is not a big deal with them, but it is to me.
Tony, somewhere I think I saw the number of parking places you have is 61, is that right?
Totally on the whole property?
Yes.
Well, I don't know.
Well, I don't know, somewhere I thought,
I hate to say
there's
that, but
61 for this.
That's 61 I counted just for the spaces that laid out for the golf course.
Oh,
Golf course, okay.
It wasn't, the number wasn't provided, I just counted the spaces.
Okay, and the 61, as far as we know, meets the parking requirement?
Not sure.
Okay.
the building's a 50 by 150 with a back 12-foot entrance and the 2 doors on the side for the access in and out.
I'm trying to figure, where do you enter the building, Tony?
Right in the front, where there's, you don't see there's no spaces there. Right there. Oh, there's gonna be 2, 3 on the side. Picnic tables are over here with there's 24 feet of entrance on the north side, 12 and 12. On the back side is 12. And on the south side, I don't plan on any on the south side.
Other questions at this time? The board? Are there any comments or questions from the public at this time? Yes.
Hi, I'm Chris Robbins from Middlebury. I just wanted to make sure that the water issues are being addressed. There's a letter from 2012 from the ANR about wetlands. And from Alan Quackenbush, it says, I made a determination that the wetlands there are not significant wetlands and therefore are classified as class 3, and no state wetland permit will be required. So they don't regulate class 3 wetlands, but the town does. As I understand it, the town has a 50-foot setback from class 3 wetlands. So has that been addressed?
No, but I can tell you what I did about it. When you're here, I can tell you what I did about it.
Tell the board, talk to us.
Oh, okay. Put in a 24-inch culvert as a suggestion from the highway department. And I started way up by Duncan's property on the north end to pick up the water coming from Breadloaf and all the areas in that whole lot area. And when I tell you 24 inches is just big enough on rainy, good hard days, and I ran it all the way down the property and into the line at the highway department, said they'd make a deal with me. You do that, we won't have a problem with it. And so that's what the culvert goes to the far south part of that property. It's a great deal of water. As far as wetlands, it's always been farmland, it's always been hayed. And I know there's a spot up there between Duncan and I and Keystone Commercial. There's a little clump of trees that someone said was a wetland thing. It's not on my property, so. But you know it's been mowed and hayed for
Yes, I do.
forever.
So I don't know where the wetlands are, but Quackenbush said there were some, so I just want to make sure that's
Okay.
been dealt with. And also, since 2012, this Vermont Clean Water Act was passed, so you have to get a permit to disturb 1 acre of land or to put in 1 acre of impervious surface. So I know that's not this board's responsibility. I just want to make sure that that's known about.
Any other questions?
Who do I apply for that?
State.
In order to figure out the parking, it seems that we would need to know what you anticipate as the numbers of users of your mini golf and your indoor building.
Oh, God. I couldn't even tell you because I'm not sure it's that popular like it was years ago. But my building, if it's a 50 by 150 and I do anything related to food service or any kind of health department, it's 15 square foot per person that would be allowed per person in the building. And you could figure that from there, maybe the parking. But I think I've got plenty of parking to satisfy this according to this group, people that drew this for me. Also, there's a way I could add a number of parking if I had to, either side. You know, I mean, I could get it from the north, but I want that overhang so that if it rains, you can serve people underneath the overhang.
Presumably, you could also have parking in your delivery area during certain times.
Could. I don't think it would ever be necessary.
Any other questions from the board at this point?
Taking questions from staff tonight?
Sure.
Okay, so just looking at the staff memo, you know, I had some questions at the end. So what did we decide on exterior lighting? Will there be new exterior lighting down in that area?
Well, I would like to see a pole lighting to light up the parking lot itself. There's a way to do it. There's a pole there right now that has parking for my help when they get out of work at night, say 9:30. There's a light that comes on when they walk by it in that little parking area that they're using around the back of the A&W. And maybe I could expand that. I'll need a permit from the power company for that. They didn't have a problem with a little two-light thing, but if I put in a spotlight that would light up that area and probably a pole on the south side to light up the rest of the area, that would, and the lights on a building would be those little small, if at all. I mean, I don't know how late we're gonna be with the building, that's the key. I don't know what's gonna be successful or not, and what do we need to do? I'll have to find that out. If the public really wants to use the building for what I plan for in the future, then I'm gonna have to light up the outside and come and do something about it. But right now, I don't plan on doing anything with the miniature golf at night. And the building would be during the day access for the front part of that building only with lighting and bathroom sections of lighting with a regular door. I'm sure there'd be a few lights, but nothing
So,
major.
since we don't have continuing jurisdiction, can a decision cover the type of lighting for all time?
Yeah, you'd really have to condition it. You'd have to create a condition that says we allow one light on the building, one pole light in the parking lot,
And
has
the
to meet the reg-
down, with the down,
You'd have to say meets the requirements of section such and such. And then if he wanted more lights, he'd have to come back, I think, or make an amendment somehow to the approval.
Tony, do you plan on using this particular building when the A&W itself is closed for the season?
Not at this point, but,
But there's a possibility in the future you'll be using it year-round.
My family has, my son Anthony owns Pizza Putt, which means we have access to games and all kinds of things. But what I wanted to do originally, which I'm not going to do now, is I wanted to put in a couple of batting cages, air hockey, and,
So you're going to need to light this building on the outside?
yeah, but not totally, not totally.
Well, but eventually
Yeah,
you're going
the
to
entrance-
need
Yeah,
more
if
lighting.
it comes to that. Right now, I just like to do we get the building and the miniature golf without a problem. I mean, I'm 12 feet below the road. This road is 12 feet higher than this land. So if I put lights in at 10 feet or 12, I don't think you'd even see them from Route 7. The miniature golf sits, the A&W was raised, I think, in 1958 or 1959, 8 feet from the road. Is that right? So
That's right.
it's up on a pedestal. Miniature golf is over here.
well, it's not whether they'd be seen from Route 7, it's how much they add to the overall light in the sky.
Okay. Capital.
Why wouldn't you propose them now, and then if you didn't put them in there, fine, but at least we would know what to expect at this point. I mean,
Oh, God, I'm thinking those three pole lights, 1, 2, and 1 to the south, facing the parking lot and the building.
they're not on this
No, they're not
proposed
on that, not at all. They didn't plan on any lighting at all, and I'm trying to get this done so far, just, but I know it doesn't work like that anymore, so. It's all figured out. I'll file another application and come back.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Let's get something figured out tonight.
Well, I guess,
So you're agreeable to some lighting in the parking lot? is
Yeah.
That's what we're hearing.
Just
Okay.
because people need to have the lighting.
but I'm confused, Mr. Chairman. If the applicant says it's not gonna be open after dark and I don't need lights, why are we sitting here telling him he needs lights?
All right, we close at 8 o'clock. By the time my
Okay.
people get out of there, it's
Okay.
9:30. So there's a few, I have 2 lights right now, so they can find their cars. But,
I think the reason is because if the miniature golf doesn't make a fortune, but the activities inside the building really take off, he may wish to expand his hours, and that would require changes to what we understand the project to
Then
be
he
at
would
this
need to come
time.
back with another application.
That would have expanded hours and lights.
Okay, so that would be the process.
Right.
Okay, I don't have a
Do you
problem.
want to just start with 2 lights for now, like a pole light and a building light?
Right.
And then refer to that section in the regulations to make sure they're downcast? And then if you have and you could even require him to give me the final plan that shows him where those lights are going to be.
Exactly.
can we make it 3 pole lights? South, center, and far north?
Yeah, I agree with Don. I think that's a lot of light for a place that's not
I
going to be
think
there
it
at
is a
night.
lot of light.
Well,
Go look at the lights tonight after
But only-
dark over at the skating rink and see what they've done there.
With all this parking?
Tony, go over and look at the lights over at the sports center.
What are the hours of operation again?
Well, they're from 11:30 to 8 o'clock right now.
Are those what you're proposing in this application? Because I didn't see it in your
Well, I'm not
application.
sure what the hours could be. It depends on the business. 11:30 to 10 o'clock.
Okay. So then that's what you'll have for now, and then you'll have to change it.
I'll
if
have
it-
to come back.
Yeah, let me know.
You have other
I
questions?
did have a couple more
Sure.
questions just here in the,
Yep.
one was, are you going to propose a gate or anything like that for safety so nobody goes down in the mini golf at nighttime?
Well, it's fenced off.
Is it going to be fenced off from the
Miniature golf
A&W?
be totally fenced off.
No, she's talking about the access going down, Tony, to the
I
building.
didn't plan on that because, they're, the gate, I mean, unless, I think there's a security problem, late night security problem, which could happen. It hasn't happened so far. But, but I would put it in if I had a problem.
Okay, I wonder what your thoughts were on the security part of that. As I looked at it, I was like, oh, maybe that's a place to hide out.
Yeah, it is.
And then as far as landscaping, there's no separate landscape plan here, but I see some landscaping along the building.
Yeah, we did, my engineer wanted, he said, what do you think about grass in the garden? I said, I don't know. I said, if I had that hood come all the way down the back of the property like I do on the other side, it gives me even more seating. He said, yeah, but Jesus, I think you got enough tables as it is, he said to me. So I said, okay, well, I looked at it and I just let it go. There is landscaping and trees all along this area here, along here and along here. And I just put in 2 more large trees in the picnic area for shade. Yeah, where you come out of the parking lot in the walkway back, there's 2 more trees over there. There's a 40-foot right-of-way with that electrical line, Falco's electrical system.
It's not your intent to pave this right off?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Okay. Yep, that was my last question.
Okay.
What's that?
That was my last question.
Okay.
That's great.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm glad.
One more,
These spaces were enough.
Right.
Yeah.
okay, one more clarification. Looking at the parking situation, your building is 150 by 50, is that right?
Yep.
So you need, in the commercial, I think you need 150 a parking place for every 150 square feet. So that would indicate you would need 50 parking places.
Got it.
And what is on here is 61,
Yeah.
so I think we're covered with the parking. That makes sense?
Is that how you do it? I didn't realize, I didn't even know how you did it.
And he's got additional parking if he needs where the proposed delivery area is, if he needs it, he said.
Okay. Any other questions at this point?
I have a question. Do you have any state permit application underway right now for this building, based on these drawings?
No. I didn't think it was necessary by the state.
I would definitely talk to your engineer about that.
Yeah, if it's a public building, you have to get a public,
Oh, yeah, that, a public permit for.
yes, I think that's it.
Afterwards.
What made me think about it was the water comment.
Well, like the staff memo says, I've already sent the plans to them.
Okay, any other comments at this point, questions? Okay. Is there a motion in one form or another? Either approve, disapprove, or go into
Let's see what
executive session.
I make a motion that we accept the preliminary plan of Tony Murray for the property at 1557 Route 7 South as proposed by the description in the maps and the drawing of Du Bois and King.
I think you said preliminary plan, but you mean final, right?
I'm sorry, yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Jen. Yeah.
Is there a second to the motion? Moved in,
Wait a minute, you
No, I
voted?
can't.
I'll second it.
been moved and seconded. Discussion on the motion.
Now, we just talked about lighting, and in that motion, there's no, right?
I don't, because of his business hours, I don't think we can, he needs to come back if he wants to do something with the lighting. If
Well,
he's gonna extend beyond the 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, right?
But
Tony?
he's asking,
He
he
wants-
was
he- he's
asking
asking-
to
he wants
put
3
lighting in
lights.
the parking lot.
Well, the one that's there now already has one on the
Yeah.
pole
Right.
at the Velcro, and so that's just a small
Yeah,
access.
okay, you
lane.
have existing one there now. You want two more, you would like to have two
I'd
more.
like to have two more, one on the north end and one on the south
Okay,
end.
do we
But if I
need
need
to
to
put
tie
So
it in,
shouldn't that go to the design advisory and let them decide what adequate lighting is and the type of pole?
No, I don't think so.
I'm
They're-
just,
Yeah, they're
Isn't
more,
there something
they're more
you
like
can-
the appearance of the building.
Yeah.
okay. All right.
that and the trees.
The lighting could be put on a sensor also.
Yes?
Won't the lighting issues be covered in the conditions outlined in the full
Decision.
decision?
Hmm. But what I was gonna put in was one pole, one on the building. But that's, are you saying that that's, and that you would start with that?
So, and actually, there's two. There's the one I'm on now,
Hmm. And then one new pole,
yeah, on the south side if I had.
and one in the building.
And, well, yeah, the building have those little small access lights. They're little tiny things. They're not very,
So you could have him come back with a plan that shows the lighting and the cut sheets and all that, or you could condition that he provide it to our office.
Okay. Is that agreeable? Provided to-
Yeah, that's,
Is that agreeable
Yes,
to the
yes.
second?
I just want to address his thoughts on, he would like more lighting, and if we look at what he has proposed here, I don't see the lighting proposed there, but he has verbally said that, so let's put that in there.
I
I
feel
was
nervous.
just thinking that if he did want more lighting, he needs to come back and make an application. But, yeah.
And I'd feel nervous if he had a direct about like a neighbor right there, then I'd say, ooh, you should ask for those, the sheets that show the lighting, but
Diffusion.
I think we can do that administratively if
Okay.
you want to condition it.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Nope. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? One abstaining. Thank you.
thank you.
So Tony, I did send that plan to V-Trans. You did? Yeah, and I gave them your phone number. So if they call. What's
Oh, everybody else got it but you?
Yeah, I gave him your phone number. I said, you don't email.
This is final, he has conditions to satisfy,
Yeah,
but his,
so.
See, Chuck, everybody has to
Because
go to the
number
state
two,
for
if you're getting
something.
that far along, I just don't know how
Yeah,
far along
he's
you are
right
with
about me
your.
going to the state.
I knew that Tony was pretty far along with his application, so I sent his plan to V-Trans for that curb cut permit. And I have their contact information if you're interested. But I didn't know if you were gonna come out of this meeting coming off Quarry Road.
I can tell you right now, they don't want, not
Okay, next item on the business agenda, an application by Dustin Simmons for a conditional use review to operate a restaurant. This property is located at 1 Washington Street in the VRC zoning district. Okay, would you like to come up?
Mind if my business partner comes up?
No? Sure, come ahead. Bring a chair.
the applicant's passed the intelligence test.
Okay, first, I have an oath somewhere. I affirm that the evidence and information I am giving in this proceeding is true and accurate to the best of my knowledge and belief.
Yes,
Are the applicants and anybody who's wishing to testify? Thank you. Okay.
Can I just ask one question before we get started? Jen, could you get me the parking plans for the co-op, please, that we approved?
The actual drawing,
Yes, because looking at what is there now, does, my memory, it doesn't, it's not the same as what I think we approved.
I'd do anything for you, but I also think that's maybe a good inquiry for executive session, because last time I ran upstairs, I missed a lot of the discussion.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. No, that's all right.
Okay.
Okay, John, you have,
Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that I've got a little. Do you want to do this one?
Yeah.
All right, not to put you in the spot.
No, it's all right.
Okay.
So the applicant is Dustin Simmons, as you said. So he's looking to, well, I think he already rented it out, leased out, space where Sweet Marie's used to be. That's right on 1 Washington Street, I believe. It's by the Co-op, Detman and Foley. So that, for Sweet Marie's, it was a restaurant, didn't operate that long. It was only conditioned for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights from 5 to 9 p.m. Dustin here is looking to do lunch and dinner, so from probably, as I said, from about 11 to 9 p.m. every day approximately. During the daytime, lunchtime, he thinks he's mostly going to do maybe deliveries or people coming in, picking up and going, not so much staying. Nighttime is going to be more sit down. That's what he anticipates. There's seating for 24 customers. He said, I think there's going to be 6 employees, was it? Yes, a total of 6 employees, including him and his partner. So some of the bigger issues here is, of course, the parking and the extension of hours. That's the big changes that is from Sweet Marie's. Sweet Marie's hadn't been operating for a couple of years. It's been empty. And really, they're really not going to do much outside work to the building. They're going to add in some landscaping and garden, herb garden probably, make it look. I think they're repainting it. They already got approval for a sign to put up there. And there really isn't much more, I think. Though, regarding the parking, they did seek for after 5 p.m. at dinner time from Foley, was giving them their spots after dinner time, and the bank on the weekends is going to give their spots when they're not open, so they'll have those spots during the weekend and dinner time. Anything else? I think that's pretty much the gist of it. I guess I can let the applicants fill in the blanks.
Would you like to briefly explain?
Yeah, in addition also to the parking spots that you listed off as far as the bank and Devon Foley, the new construction that the co-op has kind of under the condo association, we've also been given 6 parking spots there as well. So I'm not sure if I'm right by what I heard, what you were saying as far as commercial locations when it comes down to the 150 square feet, 1 parking spot per 150 square feet. Was I correct by hearing that?
That's in another zone.
It is in another zone. So I mean,
for a different use.
Understood. And I don't necessarily know all those parameters. I'm just, for argument's sake, I mean, we have an 800 square foot restaurant with 24 seats, which boils down to 7 tables. So with 6 parking spots and us not using those parking spots, I mean, I live right down the street here myself, so we don't have to park at our job. We can allow more parking spots freeing up that way. I feel like just the 6 alone, on top of the other ones that are given to us or extended to us for dinner usage, that there really is a very minimal parking concern, from my opinion. Obviously, I don't know, but that's my take on it.
Okay.
The painting that you referred to, and it's done. I do have photos of the painting being finished. I do have before and afters as far as the positive curb appeal that we hope to bring to the area. I mean, the building was not necessarily aesthetically pleasing for a while, and I'd like to think now that it is. So as far as a positive impact on the community and a positive impact in the neighborhood, we've gotten great feedback from everyone. So I think the parking, I think the issue, once that's solved, I feel like every other permit we've obtained, whether it be through the town or whether it be through the state or whether it be Department of Liquor Control and fire and so, I mean, we've been able to attain every permit. So we kind of are just looking, I guess, for your guys' clearance as far as what we're trying to accomplish.
Okay. Questions, comments from the board?
Have you, since Detman and
They
Foley,
won.
State champions?
Oh, is that what that is?
The girls won.
School girls
Girls
lacrosse.
lacrosse.
since Detman and Foley split and changed the firm, have you reconfirmed the parking arrangement with the new partners they have there?
I personally have not.
I didn't even know they split.
Well, they did, so that might be, I can't foresee it being an issue, but
Yeah.
you might want
Sure,
to double
sure.
check on
Yeah,
that.
we absolutely will.
Yeah, and really, I mean, this is all, I mean, the last 6 weeks has been, I mean, from the beginning concept of finding the location to everything, interior work, exterior work, obtaining every permit, hashing up the menu, hiring people. I mean, LLC, everything has been formed in the last 6 weeks. So it went very quickly for us. So as far as meeting them and speaking to them personally, no, a lot of the stuff has been, we were told, whether it be extended through us, through our landlord, or extended through us to the condo association, or we've heard from people. So I guess a lot of that stuff, I mean, you guys know more than we do as far as that's concerned.
So, may I ask, Don, what would you wanting to check on that plan
Well,
up there?
if you currently look the way, it's been, if all lines have been painted, and all the lines have been painted down to there. Can I get a little closer to look up here? I just want to look at something.
Don't wear glasses.
So those two spaces you put beside your building, did you put those in?
No, sir, we did not personally put those in. That was
Who
part
did?
of, that was part of the construction that I believe that was happening from the co-op. We just kind of happened to be in the corner spot where we benefited from their permit.
So this must be the new addition here in the hatch.
Yeah.
I think this
Let's
is where
look
the
at
co-op was
driveway.
then.
Let's look at the
Don,
driveway.
could you stand to the side a little bit more, thanks?
Okay. There are now parking spaces right here.
Yes.
Yeah, there's three.
There's
of them.
3 right there, sir.
Okay.
Yep.
There was never any parking in this original plan,
1, 2, and 3.
right here. But they counted these parking places, they all counted parking places for the co-op. And now all of a sudden, they got 6 spaces, Detman and Foley got 6 spaces. Now there's 12 less parking spaces on the original plan. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
On the co-op's plan.
On the co-op's plan.
Because of the expansion?
Pardon me?
Because of the expansion?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Don, could you clarify the 3 parallel spaces that you're talking about? Are you're
They
saying
run
that
right along the side of the building.
you're saying that they're in fact in reality but not in the plan?
Well, I believe that when the co-op submitted their parking plan, they counted all of those spaces.
Yeah.
When 6,
Yeah. Where's the parking
they
count?
double counted them. 6 of those spaces belong to number 1 Washington Street. The others belong to Detman and Foley. Now, you can say that they can use them after Detman and Foley goes home, and you probably can count them after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I really don't think that's the way they should be counting parking places. And furthermore, there's not a handicap parking place on that whole side down through there.
Well, was not the co-op's application including this site and Detman and Foley?
I had to recuse myself from that when we were having that discussion, so I didn't.
So this is, I don't know, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, but this is one of those messier conversations that are good for deliberation, and we can start pawing through old directories and things.
Okay.
Because maybe what we need is not the parking plan, but that parking count she gave us.
Right.
Yeah, that showed the net number of spaces
Yes,
lost, yeah.
Exactly.
That's a good idea.
And now if you look and you see where they put the gate in down for Watson Scott, they've taken his spaces away from him as well. So when you get all done, there's not the number of spaces that I believe that they represented to us that were there.
But that's it. Or
That's water over the dam, but I'm just thinking now, he's gonna count his 6 parking places. Detman and Foley are gonna take theirs.
To be fair, it could be that the 6 spaces have just been given, that these are 6 spaces that are approved for the co-op, and they've just been given or granted to these guys as tenants.
Yes,
It could be, it might not be a loss of spaces. We just need to check. But they need to check too.
Yeah.
They need to feel comfortable.
As tenants of your condo association, do you have any parking spaces? And
Yeah, 6.
So we were told.
okay.
I think that you just held up a sheet.
Yeah, there's a sheet here.
There's a sheet that says 6 parking spots for optic sweeteners.
I'm not sure where this came from, but
I got them. I
Oh,
got
yeah,
them.
that's
They're
not
there.
out. I'm looking all over for it in the
6
directory, I
spaces.
forgot what it is.
Where's LaBerge is 6 parking places?
What's that?
Where's LaBerge is 6 parking places?
Um,
Yeah, they don't exist.
Right, we already did this, okay, good. I forgot we went through this exercise.
The only number one, yeah, for our section was thing D.
You want to make sure that's in your leads.
Yeah, I forgot, we went through that exercise, and we pulled out Andrea's parking count. And despite the net loss of spots, she still had in her parking count that 6 belonged to Sweet Marie's and the optics place.
Right. And what about LaBerge's?
5 for LaBerge,
5.
6 for Detman and Foley.
So now you got
So-
6, 5, and 9.
Well,
But that
that's-
was, the 6 and 5 was part of the application by the co-op, right? Yeah.
No, they had to because they own part of, they're also a co-op member in the condo association.
I understand that, but if that was part of the application of co-op, then we approved that parking scenario that gave 6 to them and 6 to Foley, or 5 to Foley.
Yeah.
So it sounds like
Yeah, I was scared for a second, but we did go through that exercise.
we're all set with it. They aren't taking 6 spots away. We don't have 11 spots
We're
fewer.
not saying they were taking them away.
Okay.
I'm saying they were double counting the parking places.
No, they weren't. They weren't. They
Wait
just,
till you get done. We'll count them when we get done.
well, okay.
That isn't scanned into this drive.
They were included in the co-op, those 5,
That's
and
fine.
the 6
Yep.
for those
So-
2 tenants.
The question we really have is what we want to say about the 2 parking spaces they're missing, assuming we ignore Don's point for the time being about the 6
And
spaces.
did we not have a discussion about that being a one-way road at one time?
I don't remember that.
It was,
Well, it may have been discussed at the co-op.
No, yes, at the co-op, that was gonna be one way in and.
no, they weren't going to make it one way. They were going to encourage customers not to exit that way.
Yeah, I concur with Ann's memory on that. It was discussed, they couldn't make the commitment that we had asked for.
But 6 spots is not 8, so that still needs to be discussed, right?
After 5, they'll have that, but before 5, they won't.
Right.
What they have
Yeah.
given to.
After 5 PM,
So there's 2 spots that they need to find somehow,
Or purchase the rights for.
or purchase.
Or reduce the number of seats in the restaurant.
Does street parking come into play here? I mean, there's 3 or 4 spots right in front for street parking for general public.
Most given days that we've been there every day for the last 6 weeks, there's no one parked in front of them, ever.
It's not that the spaces might not be available, it's that the regulations call for 8 or payment in lieu,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, I was just looking up that section of the regulations. The DRB also has to decide that there's adequate parking in the area and grant those spaces. That's the parking fee waiver provision.
So, if we were to pay in lieu, pay who, pay what, pay where, like, because we can't, I mean, like Don already just said, we can't take any spaces
Right.
from them, because they need them for theirs, so pay for 2 spots nowhere near our restaurant? I mean, I don't understand, I'm not following.
They're not spaces that are allocated to you, it's just, what would we call it?
A gift.
A fee to the town for making parking even more difficult, even though you're bringing
Okay,
business
sure.
to the town.
And figuratively speaking, what does a figure like that look like?
I have no
For whether or
idea.
not it's even
See-
feasible to a
Yeah,
24-seat
see,
restaurant.
so right now, he wants a bunch of answers, and we don't even know if that's what we're gonna grant, and things are getting messy. So that's why, that's a great conversation for deliberative. If you guys decide that you wanna do a parking fee waiver, then I can totally explain it to these guys the next day, what it means, how much it costs, who you pay, all of that. Otherwise, it might be a moot point, we're getting into it now, but it's at, I think it's like $197 or something per space, it's like a pittance, really. and it could be just spaces right in front of your restaurant. But they have to decide that there's adequate spaces in the area and grant it to you. But that's one way out. I think, didn't we already give some spaces to the co-op when we did that decision? So this is all a great deliberative discussion. It's a messy one.
Okay. Any other questions at this point?
So, to me, the only stumbling block to this is just the parking.
Okay.
Anybody have any other thoughts?
You're just talking about parking during the day, correct? Because after 5 o'clock, we have.
Correct. Between 11 and 5.
I'm not trying to hold up his permit, and I think everybody should try and do business and succeed, and I just think that when you run out of places for people to park, they're just not gonna come there anymore. That's the bottom line. If you can't find a place to park, you're not gonna go there and eat. As I told Tony near if you don't have room for him to get in, then you won't have any business. So,
I feel like a lot of our traffic's gonna be pedestrian
Yeah,
traffic
Well,
too.
during the day,
yeah.
absolutely. There's so much
We-
foot traffic on
We have
that
7
area.
tables.
yeah, I know.
So all it takes is 2
I
tables to
understand.
the
I hear
pedestrians,
you.
and then we haven't even used the 6 spots that we got.
Yeah.
Right.
So any pedestrian traffic immediately makes it so there's enough parking.
Okay. Any comments from the public at this point?
I'll
Yeah.
just chime in. I'm just here representing the co-op, Glenn Lauer, general manager, and happy to answer any questions you have. And I hope you will review the parking, but I don't think we double counted. But let me know if we did. So the parking is only concern for us during the weekdays in the middle of the day. You know, sort of the lunch crowd. It pretty much is, every space is taken everywhere. And when Sama Hyatt was applying for the Sweet Marie's, we worked out a good deal that I thought was agreeable to everybody, that the Devon and Foley would loan them the spaces after 5 o'clock, and that met the need for the restaurant. And we said, great, that sounds perfect for us. So this is just a little different. I just wanted to make sure people were paying attention to that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the public? Gary?
I'm not the public.
No.
Sort of.
Sort of.
Jen, you can check on this, but I think Shaw's is public parking, as is the Marble Works.
They've removed their stickers on the signs that used to say Shaw's only towing or whatever. It's all scraped off
Well,
now.
it says they'll be towed, but
Yeah.
as Fred told me once, they better not be towing. Because we'll rescind their permit. I think probably some overage might go to Shaw's, and nobody's gonna.
That's what I was thinking when Don made that comment. You know, if there's not enough parking, they just won't shop
They
there.
won't just go there.
If there's not enough parking, they'll just park in other people's parking
Right,
spaces.
that's right.
Exactly. Yeah.
and still go there. So it's good that Shaw's would be an acceptable overflow.
Well, I would check on that, but I'm pretty sure that that's the case.
So the regulations do have a provision that you can have a shared parking agreement with another owner in a contingent lot.
So your 6 places are the 3 on the side of the building and 3 spaces the other side of Detman and Foley?
That's a good question, sir.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's, I mean, when I first talked to Victor, nobody knew where our 6 parking spots were.
And with the new paving and the new lines put down, no one ever has brought us out there and said, these are yours. We were told 6, there's paperwork of 6. It's a good question.
Yeah.
I guess we were assuming they would be the ones closest to our restaurant.
And where are LaBerge's 5 parking places?
Good question, sir. I don't.
You have another?
Let me know if you want me to answer any questions.
Yes.
I also did want to throw out, in case there was a little conflict, because we have an agreement with the bank across the street on Sundays that during our construction months, they would let us park there. So.
Yeah, I went and talked to the bank as well, and they said Saturday after they close and Sunday.
All I'm trying to say is, if everybody went out and claimed their 5 parking places, or their 6 parking places, where would you claim them? That's all I'm saying.
Well, they may not be designated, which is,
They're not.
okay.
Okay. The condo association said they didn't want to do that.
So they're all shared spaces.
Yep.
Which is,
Except for Devin and Foley, they wanted theirs signed.
Are any of the shared parking arrangements formalized? Like, is there like a document, or is it mostly just,
Yeah, and that's where those parking spaces of 6 for the restaurant and 5 for
does it all
the
came
bird,
from?
6 for the bakery.
They're documented, but are they specific in site?
No,
They're okay.
no, it's,
Yeah.
Just generic,
Bakery probably is.
that's how I remember it.
Any more questions from the board? Okay, is there a motion?
I'd like to move approval of the conditional use request with the condition that the applicants show the 6 spaces clearly to staff that they're claiming.
You can't.
Or the document.
They don't have,
Or the shared parking arrangement.
Yeah.
But there's 8 required, given the number of seats.
That's what I mean. I'm sorry, the 8. Are we sure that we're, sorry, I started a motion and missed off the motion. Are we sure that we're too short, or are we questioning whether we're too short?
No, we're sure.
We're sure.
They're too short.
Okay.
So
but he
we,
can't, if Shaw's is public parking, can they just pay the fee for the 2 spots they don't have?
That's a great discussion for you to deliberate on. Since you're about to go into deliberative session anyway, why not just hash it out?
I mean, if we go into deliberative session.
That's the motion.
is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Moved and second to go into deliberative session. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we will be going into deliberative session.
So if you guys want to hang around for a little bit?
Do, or you can